Hi,
Hi.
Damien. It looks
Hi.
like you're in San Francisco.
No, I'm in Chile. I'm in Chile, but my office is a bit of a pigsty, so I had
Uh,
to
so
use a
you use
fake
that.
back.
Nice.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time for joining us today.
Of course.
So my first question is, what's it like to be back for the 25th season of Law and Order?
Jeez. It is absolutely, it still feels like a pinch me moment. I've always been a fan of the show since a very young age. I watched it on Israeli TV because this is where I grew up with my mom. When I was 7, I couldn't even read subtitles, and maybe you can, relate to that, right? I couldn't read subtitles, but I just remember falling in love with it. I, at the time, could not tell if Sam Waterston was a lawyer or an actor because he was always performing, sort of like in front of an audience. So I used to tell my mom, this is what I want to be. I want to be a lawyer, and my mom would say, no, you just want to be that on TV. And little did I know, um, it happened. And even when I moved here, I really did not think that I would get to play a lawyer because English is not my first language. There's this huge barrier, right? And then you have to learn legalese, which is a whole nother language. So I didn't think that I would be able to do that. And I always thought, I'm going to get fired. I'm not good enough for this. And, here we are.
So do you remember what went through your mind the first time you read the first season for the new, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
first episode for the new season, Street Justice? What went through
Yeah.
your mind?
I'm going to tell you the story. Last season, the last episode, before I read it, my producer called me and said, I want you to know that you are not being let go of the show because the ending of it, as an actor, you go, are they going to throw me down an elevator shaft? Like, what are they going to do? And it was, it was pretty vague even to me. And I had to wait for 2 months, and I tried to come up with scenarios of like, what's going to happen? Like where are they going to take the story? And so when I read it, when I read the first episode, I was mind blown because none of what the amazing writers wrote was something that I myself thought of. So I was having a lot of fun. I was really excited that I got all these scenes and arc to play with, and it's just felt very lucky to open, to open the season really with Maroon's story.
So, talking about arc, can you tell us a bit about your character's story arc for this season?
Um, the thing the thing is, it's hard to tell. I know that we're going to dive into a lot more personal stories. Just last episode, I found out something new about Maroon that I did not know before. And so it's always exciting, but we get the each episode just a few days before we start shooting it. So it's always surprising to us. And so I don't know. There's always just something new that's happening. But what I can say is that I feel like from season to season, episode to episode, uh, Samantha Maroun really finds her trust in the people she works with, and confidence in herself, and knowing that she's earned where this job. Um, she doesn't have to really fight and be angry all the time to prove anything to anybody. She just has to politely be opinionated. I feel like that's been her arc, because she came from this background of she just had to fight all the time to get places. So now she's just finding this sort of peace.
So, there's some, we could say some tension maybe between your character and Norman Price.
Yeah.
Um, as an actress, how, well, along with your fellow actors, how do you build that type of chemistry, that type of push and pull relationship?
Mhm. Well, I just look at Hugh and I say, "Don't talk to me today." No, I'm kidding. How do I build that that tension? Um, do you mean in? Do you mean right before we shoot the scene?
Well, in general, is that something
Okay.
that you two practice together, or
Yeah.
is it more of a
Oh,
something you improvise during the
um,
scene?
so what I love about working with Hugh is that, you know, a conversation is always welcomed, and we always talk about the scene prior. So, you know, we meet, we do the rehearsal, and we find little things that either work for us or don't work for us, and we're very open, and the communication is amazing. So there's always yeah, there's always that communication that really allows you to also try new things. Improvising is less we're allowed to do on the show. Everything has to be really, um, you know, you also have to respect the writers. So we try to stay with whatever the writing is, um, and you know, each take, and that's what I love about TV or movies, that each take you can bring something completely different. You can play around, and then in editing, they sort of mix it up, right? So yeah, we just go for it, and we feel safe that to do that, you know, and that doesn't happen with every actor. So I'm very grateful for that.
But one of the things that I love about Law and Order, I mean, it's been going on for so long and it has spin-offs and everything. So every year, every season, it has to reinvent itself. It
Right.
has to find a different angle. So what do you think is the different angle for season 25? What sets it aside from previous seasons?
I think starting with the fact that we ended last season with a cliffhanger, that in itself is something new that we haven't done ever, you know, except for maybe episodes that are crossovers. But we never really had cliffhangers. You know, Law and Order that has the beginning, middle, and end, and you can sort of watch any episode and not necessarily in order. But this one was different, and the beginning, that the first episode is really goes back to the very first episode of season 21, the season when we came back, right? Street Justice, where Maroun is going back that story of her sister that got murdered, and they're finding that guy. Finally, they're finding her sister's murderer, and this is 4 seasons later. So I think this is something new that we haven't had ever.
Well, I'm all out of time. I just
No.
really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me today. Thank you very much,
Sure.
and
Thank you.
congratulations on the show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Have a good day.